I just want things to be different.
At Junior Achievement, we promote economic empowerment through education, but we can't do it alone.
It's 8 o'clock. Breakfast is being served at Ellen's downtown.
I'm Carla Leal, and this is your Spectrum News in 90. Cleanup efforts continue in Perryton after a deadly tornado hit the Panhandle town Thursday. Several people were killed and around 100 were sent to the hospital with injuries. Governor Abbott issued a disaster declaration for the area. And while Governor Greg Abbott is fulfilling his promise, according to the Texas Tribune, he continues his veto campaign, vetoing over 31 bills, and this all comes in efforts to push the House and Senate to compromise on property taxes. And the funeral for the 8-year-old girl who died in Border Patrol custody took place this weekend. Ana de Reyes Alvarez, who was born in Panama, died at a Border Patrol station in Harlingen after she tested positive for influenza while in custody.
For your Sunday, actual temperature up to about 98, and we could have those heat indices as high as 105. Lots of sunshine. UV index is up to 11. So make sure if you're outside, you're lathering up with the sunscreen. For Monday and Tuesday, looking at 101. I have a break coming up. I'll tell you all about that in just a minute.
Hello and thank you for joining us here on Spectrum News 1. I'm Todd Boatwright. Well, former President Donald Trump was in Miami this past week for the first steps in what could be a lengthy legal process. The former president pleaded not guilty to 37 felony charges against him, accusing him of mishandling classified documents and storing them at his Mar-a-Lago estate. Trump spoke after his arraignment this past Tuesday, continuing to maintain his innocence.
Today we witnessed the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country. Very sad thing to watch. A corrupt sitting president had his top political opponent arrested on fake and fabricated charges.
The former president is also facing a criminal case in New York where he's accused of paying hush money to an adult film star to hide an extramarital affair. And in Georgia, Trump's also expected to face a grand jury indictment in August connected to an investigation into his alleged attempts to overturn the 2020 election. That depends on how this federal case pans out as well. And back here in Texas, Republicans are speaking out against recent legal action taken against Attorney General Ken Paxton. This week, the Collin County GOP passed a resolution condemning the impeachment of Paxton. They're calling on Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick to prevent the trial and return the articles of impeachment to the House. Meanwhile, the Austin businessman at the center of Paxton's impeachment will now appear in court later this month. A federal judge granted Nate Paul's request to postpone his appearance now till June 26th. Paul is charged with 8 counts of making false statements to financial institutions. One of the charges has ties to Paxton's impeachment allegations, but Paxton is not mentioned in the indictment. Operator of the state's power grid says high demand and warm temperatures could make the perfect storm this week. From now until Wednesday, the state's power grid is under a weather watch, meaning demand could be reaching levels high enough to strain our power supply. This is the first time ERCOT has issued a weather watch, which is one of its new communication tools to keep Texans informed on the power grid. ERCOT's also launching a contingency reserve service as energy demand in Texas continues to grow. ECRS is part of a group of ancillary services that help ERCOT keep the lights on when demand gets high. The company says this will help support grid reliability and keep supply and demand balanced. And during these weather watches, grid conditions are expected to be normal, but ERCOT does expect reserve power to be lower during peak demand. In fact, a new report found Texas actually has the second highest rate of power outages in the country, and that's something energy experts say needs to be fixed.
We've got to get ready for more extremes, both in the summer and the winter, right? We experienced with Winter Storm Uri a very extreme event. We had a super hot summer next year, and you keep hearing folks say, you know, those are anomalous years. They're out of the norm. That's not usual, but we've got to get used to. There just aren't any typical years anymore. Most of the years are going to be extreme. We got to be ready.
And along the border, a new development in Cameron County has been without power for months, and as the summer heat sets in, health concerns are growing as well. Here's Adolfo Muniz to explain.
So many are the areas in the Rio Grande Valley that are still very vulnerable to extreme weather. This one, just outside of Brownsville, for example, hasn't had electricity for months. And with the hurricane season already here, residents are demanding a solution now. For many residents of remote areas in the Rio Grande Valley, life is a daily struggle. For Aide Perez and her 80-year-old father, Carlos, it's even worse. Their mobile home has no electricity and it's unbearably hot.
Mi papá, que ya es una persona grande, pues a ratitos con el abanico y a ratitos que tiene calor con las puras aires de las ventanas.
And it's not only them. For the residents of Hacienda West Colonia south of Brownsville, it's been 9 months without energy.
Ya estoy desesperada, la mera verdad, esto es algo que ya se pasó del límite.
So just to go by, the only source of power for many is a small generator, which can be a constant risk. One has already exploded on her. Agripina Gomez with the Sierra Club has been advocating for families here before county and state authorities, but it feels like a dead end.
We cannot move forward if we don't have the basic infrastructure for regular energy. Some families just tell me, I don't care if it's clean or dirty energy. We just want energy, Argentina. And that really breaks my heart. So that's why, I organize with them so they can raise their voice.
And they did raise their voice before the commissioner's court. Residents say the developer, Rick Cardenas, promised all services, but didn't deliver. Cardenas told us it was because AEP had no transformers available. A spokesperson for AEP told Spectrum News 1 there were indeed problems with supply lines, but the developer had not yet fulfilled all the requirements, and residents keep on pressuring him. For Agripina, this is far from being an isolated incident.
That is the problem that we have in many colonias here in the Rio Grande Valley. Developers building without the basic infrastructure, and these families have to suffer the consequences.
And while the situation lasts, Aide has to buy food for the day only, and running the generator is an expense she can't always afford.
$40 diarios, si lo tengo día y noche. Si nomás lo tenemos para dormir, son 20. O es generador o es comida.
AEP now says it might take up to 4 months for the electricity to be installed, but Aide doesn't know how much longer her father Carlos can take it.
And coming up next, water conservation is even more important during these hot summer months. One Texan is already ahead of the game. We'll show you how. Plus, it's been more than a month since that deadly mass shooting in Allen, but Texans are working hard to keep remembering and honoring the victims. Those stories and more coming up next.
Today at Zilker Park, where folks from across the state of Texas are coming together for this.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to our communities around the clock, delivering stories that inspire and news that matters in your community. Our journalists are dedicated to bringing you trusted, balanced local news every day. And now, Spectrum Internet-only customers, you can watch Spectrum News 1 on your TV, connecting you to your community 24/7. Spectrum News, now streaming, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Texas holds a very special place in both my heart and my family's heart as well. My dad started in the news business in 1955, so my dad was my idol. He was my mentor. I spent so much time in that world. I knew I just had to be a part of it. My life's purpose has been about informing, educating, and most importantly, connecting with people. It has been my passion to help people and make a difference in people's lives. I'm Brett Shipp, anchor, Spectrum News 1.
Weather on the Ones, presented by Lentz Landscape Lighting.
It is feeling like the dog days of summer already. Be like Bonnie, get into the pool. Look at that, an awesome scene. And check out this bunny. This is Lint. He's actually getting his float on, so comfortable into the pool, and really just setting the scene for us. I think we all need to meet that challenge just to really feel that comfortable and ignore the heat. Just go ahead and get your doggy paddle on. Here is a look. We're actually 4 days out from the official start of summer, and excessive heat warnings to our south. For the most part, most of us under that heat advisory, but this lasts all the way throughout your Sunday. So a dangerous situation, heat exhaustion would show more like dizziness and heavy sweating. We would have like a weak pulse, maybe some cramps, especially into your legs. Now, heat stroke, different story. We won't have as much sweating. Throbbing headache is what you need to look for. Some consciousness, a little bit on the verge, and then also turning red. So dangerous. Definitely need to call 911 if that is the case. But we're going to stay safe throughout the weekend. Here is a look outside. We have a few of those clouds. They're not going to help us as we go forward. We're going to see actually more of the sunshine throughout your Sunday, and highs into the mid and upper 90s. Heat indices will be as high as 107 downtown. So we'll continue to see a dangerous situation and limiting those chances of rain into your Sunday. You can only see just a little bit well down towards the southeast and only a 10% chance. All right, this ridge, it will back off as we go forward. Actually, a stronger trough to the southeast is going to bully it, kick it just a little bit to the west. So our temperatures will go down. It'll take a while, but by the end of the week, we are looking a little bit better.
Hotter temperatures across the state this summer means a greater need for water. Experts in the field say water conservation is crucial. One Texan is actually getting creative to help conserve water at home. JJ Maldonado caught up with him to learn more.
This one should be full. Yeah, it's full up to here. I could have put more in there.
Bill Nash is using ingenuity to conserve water.
We use this domestically. We don't have a problem with run it through the filters and over a UV lamp, and it's good clean water. Tastes great.
The two 1,500-gallon tanks in his garage contain rainwater collected through his roof gutters.
Comes down and ends up in another gutter, and it all goes out this end and then comes over. And this pipe is removable for cosmetic issues.
Bill's property, known as Raven Canyon, sits in the hill country of Texas. By collecting rainfall, he's able to redistribute water over a longer period of time throughout the canyon and for things like gardening and even this pool.
You could drink that water if you wanted to.
The Texas drought was a concern last summer with hardly any rainfall. Nilo and Fernando with the Texas Water Development Board says drought conditions are slightly improving in parts of the state, like north central Texas. Nilo says water conservation helps the entire state.
If we can use that water that we're collecting instead of, opening the tap and getting the water that we know is still coming from those highland lakes where we are seeing a reduction in storage over the last year, it would be a conservation.
Bill's efforts won him the 2022 Texas Raincatcher Award by the Texas Water Development Board. He has a great passion for caring for the land and preserving its future.
If you want to have Christmas morning ever so often, it's listening to the water run into your tank. That is really exciting to hear rainwater run off your roof and into a tank.
In North Texas, it's been more than a month now since that shooting at the premium outlets in Allen, but support continues to pour in for those affected by the tragedy. Our Justin Honore shows how one Texan is doing their part.
This store owner just wanted to make a difference in the community that he lives in. But little did he know that one of the biggest sports organizations in the entire world wanted to make a difference as well. Once Kevin Easley heard what happened in his home community of Allen, Texas, he knew he had to do something.
We included the 8 in the word strong and have a star relatively close to where Allen is located, and you know that's the route that we decided to go.
Easley, the owner of the home team Prince, created a special shirt to honor the victims of the Allen Premium Outlet shooting, in which he has been donating 100% of the sales to Communities Foundation of Texas. A small gesture Easley never imagined taking off until a hometown NFL team called.
Once I got over the shock of the Cowboys reaching out, there was a huge sense of pride.
Each member of the Dallas Cowboys wore a shirt with Easley's design during their practice earlier this month. The team also joined Easley in making a donation towards the Communities Foundation of Texas in support of the Allen community.
The local sports teams, they own a bit of responsibility to support their communities, and it always makes you feel good when they do. And certainly when they support my community as an Allen resident, that made me feel great.
Easley is expecting to sell over 1,000 shirts soon. He hopes his design and donation can help his community recover.
Important that we don't forget what happened, but also those discussions are helping to make everyone stand a little taller and the community stand a little tighter. And while we had a very, very, very small part in that, you know, we're proud of the fact that we could help do that.
Another store at the Allen Premium Outlets reopened recently. H&M opened Monday and was one of the last stores remaining closed. The store is very close by where the gunman opened fire, killing 8 people and injuring several more. And coming up, more action on one illegal drug in our state and less action on another. We'll show you the tale of 2 substances in Texas when we come back.
Highlighting your Sunday, it's going to be hot, very, very hot as hundreds spread throughout the state, and actually more sunshine as we go forward. Feels like temperatures over the next few days could be record-breaking, so make sure you're taking those heat precautions. And limited as far as the rain is concerned. I'll give you your complete outlook coming up.
I am most satisfied when I'm making a difference. I get to go to work every day and communicate with fellow Texans who understand that quality of life matters and the choices we make matter. And if they can trust me to share important information with them, then I'm a happy camper. I'm Dr. Nicole Cross, anchor for Spectrum News 1.
When you buy Spectrum Mobile for just $29.99 a month, you get a second line for free. So get 1 line for yourself and a free line for your devoted friend. Or you can get 1 line for yourself and 1 line for your kid.
Sold.
Or both lines for yourself. I use one for business and another for business. I do a lot of business. Get 1 line of unlimited for $29.99 and get a second line free for 12 months. Call, click, or visit a Spectrum store today.
He's the one who noticed his mom's face was swollen. They're the ones she confided in about her change in vision and headache that wouldn't go away. He's the one who really listened when she said that something just didn't feel right. Too many women die from pregnancy-related complications each year in the U.S. It doesn't have to be that way. Most deaths are preventable. Know the warning signs, hear her concerns.
An answer to one of society's biggest questions may be found in the youngest minds. Does poverty impact a child's development, their performance in school? The hypothesis that mothers who have access to cash raise babies with stronger brain development.
The basis of the baby's first year study is really to understand whether providing economic support would change children's trajectories.
Exploring your health, budgeting for brain development, available on all your favorite devices.
Governor Abbott signed several bills into law recently, with some focusing on drug overdoses in Texas. On Wednesday, the governor signed 7 bills in total. One would allow fentanyl-related deaths to be prosecuted as murder. Another increases criminal penalties for selling and distributing the drug. And one of the bills will allow Narcan to be distributed on college campuses across the state. And the overdose reversing drug won't just be available on college campuses. Narcan was also recently approved for sale over the counter. And as our Lauren Kendrick found out from one professional, that is a game changer.
This is Narcan. This is a box. It comes with 2 in there. This is a single dose here. The box would come with 2 of these. Whenever somebody is experiencing an overdose, this would be the medication to bring them out of the overdose.
Samuel Stimson with San Antonio Council of Alcohol and Drug Awareness demonstrates how he teaches proper use of Narcan.
And you're going to take this medication here. It's like a little plunger. You hold it just like that.
It's medication, a nasal spray, which rapidly reverses opioid overdoses. And showing folks how to administer it is something Samuel feels is his calling.
Go call 911 and search for more help.
There's another reason this is so meaningful to him.
Yes, I am someone in recovery myself, so I like to give back to the community in doing this. It's one of those jobs where I wake up and I'm actually very happy to come to work.
That work, he says, is sharing life-saving information from the point of view of someone who's been there.
I talk to a lot of guys who are actually very happy to speak with somebody who has been on that side other than somebody who has just done through schooling.
It lets him use his experience to help others get to the other side, where he is. Abigail Moore says the number of overdoses keeps climbing.
So in 2019, EMS first responders responded to 1,800 overdose incidents in our county. And in 2021, that number doubled
to 3,700 overdose first responder calls countywide. She says it's a great thing that Narcan is now available over the counter.
But again, we don't believe that people know enough. Even before, when it was behind the counter and you didn't need a prescription, people didn't know and they didn't have access to it. So we are creating awareness
in hopes more lives can be saved and turned around.
When people are able to get help and have access to recovery, they're able to recover. Sam is proof of that recovery is possible.
Meanwhile, the fight to decriminalize marijuana in Texas continues. There was some legislation at the state capitol that could have passed that effort statewide, but it failed. Our Dylan Scott has more.
It was a legislative session that featured several high-powered conversations on topics such as immigration and property taxes. However, one area that really seemed to hit the back burner this time around was that of cannabis.
That would have been a big win for millions of patients.
Lori Reese, Chief Marketing Officer for cannabis healthcare provider Doc MJ and a chronic pain sufferer, believes not expanding compassionate use this legislative session was a missed opportunity.
Chronic pain is the most common qualifying health condition in over 47 states that have legalized cannabis. For Texas patients to not have access to medical cannabis if they have severe and debilitating chronic pain, it just doesn't seem right.
The Compassionate Use Act provides low-level THC cannabis to qualified patients. However, millions of Texans don't meet the requirements and face the dangers of prescribed opioids, which the CDC stated was a major factor in 5,000 overdose deaths in 2021 alone.
They're not a permanent solution, and that's why I believe so strongly that patients should have access to legalized medical cannabis, which is doctor supervised, and so they can use that as an alternative health option safely.
Dr. Rohan Patanker is one of those physicians and says for medical reasons the state needs to give medical cannabis serious thought.
I think if the political elected leaders just take a look, not bring political stigma into it, but just base their decisions in hard science, it's a very easy decision that this is far better than the current options that are out there.
In total, about a dozen bills regarding cannabis, including recreational use for increased revenue and decriminalization, were simply not high on the agenda, says UT professor and executive director of the Texas Politics Project, James Henson.
You start to lose support when you get in the realm of more recreational use. But there's a lot of support, including among Republicans and conservatives in the state, for compassionate use. And I expect that that's where we'll continue to see, both advocacy and lobbying efforts going forward. And probably the biggest chance of there being progress.
Progress Reese, the Toronto native turned Texas resident, says will take 2 more years. Then millions can wait.
While that doesn't sound like a long period of time, for someone who's experiencing pain, relentless pain on a daily basis, that's an eternity.
The decisions elected officials make really have an impact on all of us. A big part of what we do on Capitol Tonight is break down the issues so that they're easily understood. We want to bring you a better understanding of local issues and the local impact of national issues with relevant, in-depth conversations that provide context for Texans in a balanced and informative way. Capitol Tonight, weeknights at 7 on Spectrum News 1.
With Spectrum Mobile, your mobile speeds are already amazingly fast, but now they've developed Speed Boost. And it's only possible because Spectrum Internet, Advanced Wi-Fi, and mobile all work together. It's like speed on top of speed on top of speed, or like taking a shot of espresso, like this one. Woo! Then chugging an energy drink, yeah! And then being shot out of a cannon. Let's light this candle. Change my mind. Change my mind, change my mind. Get fast speeds on your mobile devices with Speed Boost, only from Spectrum Mobile.
I worked in retail for 19 years.
I'm widowed, I'm middle age.
Working on the rivers, long haul trucking, that's all I've ever known.
I knew it was time for me to be there.
Now I'm a computer programmer.
And I'm a software developer.
I am a software engineer.
This is the future, I'd say.
A thriving community is an informed community, and being able to play a role in bringing people the news is something that I take very seriously. There's just so many things to love about the state of Texas. Southern hospitality, great food. I love that there are so many different cultures celebrated. I want people to turn us on in the morning and feel like they've got the information they need to go out and conquer their day.
I'm Alex Stockwell, anchor for Spectrum News 1.
Weather on the Ones, every 10 minutes. Also available on the Spectrum News app.
Hello, Dallas-Fort Worth. Here's your Spectrum News in 90. Officials in Perryton are discussing cleanup efforts following that deadly tornado that hit the Panhandle town Thursday. 3 people were killed. Up to 100 were sent to hospitals with injuries. Governor Abbott issued a disaster declaration for that area. Hundreds of Texas nurses are planning on a strike later this month. Nurses at Ascension Seton Medical Center say this comes after a prolonged staffing crisis. Their union says this will be the largest nurses strike in Texas history. Extreme heat is impacting large parts of Texas and Mexico. This is at least 5 times more likely to happen due to human-caused climate change. That's according to an analysis from the research group Climate Central. Many major cities across Texas will be experiencing these temps.
Your goal for Father's Day will be to keep Dad cool throughout the day. Get him in the pool or stay inside, because we are looking at heat advisories in place already at 90 degrees by the time we make it throughout the lunch hour, and then mid to upper 90s in store to finish the day. I do have some relief in store. I'll tell you about it coming up.
Hi, welcome back. Well, with summer getting into full swing, more motorcyclists are expected to hit the road. Our Luis Garcia shows why it's so important to pay attention and share the space.
With the beginning of the summer, more and more motorcyclists are going to be riding the streets of Texas. But according to recent statistics, that's one of the deadliest things you can do today.
A lot of people don't realize how enjoyable it is, you know, while riding a bike, and how peaceful it is, and, you know, how you could just lose track of whatever, you know, problems you have and just, you know, ride free.
Sergio Carrillo is a motorcyclist from the city of El Paso who is aware that his great passion is very dangerous.
It's really hard to listen to all these people, you know, losing their lives for something could be so enjoyable.
Just in 2022, 562 motorcycle riders were killed in the streets of Texas, and Sergio mentioned what he thinks is one of the main reasons of this.
It's the using of the phones, you know, not looking back, not looking twice. It's something that, you know, even us driving regular cars, we don't think about. You know, becoming a motorcycle or riding a motorcycle, it raises your awareness a little bit more of what could be next to you.
At the Texas Department of Transportation offices in El Paso, Monica O'Kane works to raise awareness among drivers across the state about being on the lookout for motorcycles on the road.
Unfortunately, this year we've had about an 8% increase in deaths that occurred in 2022 here in Texas. And for us, even one death is one too many. And again, unfortunately, we've had in 2022 here in El Paso, we had 13 fatalities, and that's affecting probably hundreds of people because of those 13 people that passed away. Where's the crash at? The crash?
It's going to be on Gateway West at Paisano.
Send the alert out to the public that a crash just happened.
But Monica knows that motorcycle drivers have to do their part too.
Wear that protective gear, you know, avoid that road rash. Take your lane, respect the driver also. You know, we don't want, you know, the motorcyclists to be going around us or to be, you know, coming up, you know, inches within our vehicles as well. Again, it's the motorcyclists respecting the vehicles and the vehicles respecting those motorcyclists.
And for Sergio, the solution to this problem is very simple.
You know, just be aware of your surroundings. You know, it's again, it's something that a lot of people have the joy of riding. You know, just be aware of everybody around you, next to you, in front of you, and behind you. You know, share the road with everybody.
Moving on now to news from the border. The U.S. is no longer taking appointments to admit immigrants trying to cross through Laredo. So far, no explanation from officials, but the Associated Press says some asylum seekers claim Mexican officials threatened to hold them there unless they paid to cross. Meanwhile, the U.S. has stopped using the new CBP One app for new appointments. Advocates say the app used to officially seek asylum may have been abused to extort some migrants out of their appointments. Meanwhile, the armed forces are stepping up marketing, looking to entice legal immigrants to the U.S. to enlist. The military has had success with this approach, particularly among immigrants looking for a job, education benefits, and training, as well as a quick route to become an American citizen. Both the Army and the Air Force say they will not meet the recruiting goals this year, and the Navy also expects to fall short. Well, before Title 42 was lifted, the number of unaccompanied minors at the border steadily increased. Well, a church in North Texas wants people to open their minds and hearts to the kids in detention centers through their drawings. Lourdes Vasquez shows us.
They say a photo is worth 1,000 words. Kids in detention centers across the country are expressing their feelings through their drawings.
This looks like something your kids could make. This looks like something your niece or your nephew would make and bring home to you. But these are pictures that are being made in detention centers by kids whose lives really are on hold.
A drawing of the Nicaraguan flag with the words, "My loving home, how I miss my siblings, mom, and grandparents."
You think about kids who their life has been turned upside down.
Meredith Parrott is the outreach coordinator at the Oak Lawn Methodist Church. The art pieces are on loan from Elisa O'Callahan as part of their Borderlands sermon series.
I started teaching art and collecting that art since maybe the end of 2018 or 2019.
Elisa O'Callahan with Justice for Our Neighbors in North Texas has spent some time with children held at detention centers across the state, teaching and letting kids express themselves through art.
Can you imagine a child, a little kid, going through the problem in their country, the way they must have suffered hunger and coldness and all this stuff?
According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Homeland Security, as of May 18th, there were more than 8,500 kids in HHS custody. On a monthly average, there are 542 unaccompanied minors in Customs Border Patrol custody.
Nobody asked them how you feeling or what is deep inside your heart, right? Mm-hmm. So, and art does that. Art brings out emotions and transports them to other places they can escape.
The artwork on display is from kids as young as 8 years old to teenagers. She hopes anyone who sees these pieces brings some humanity to the immigration conversation.
A hope that will inspire people to see them as human beings.
And we could soon learn more about that flight that took migrants from Texas to Massachusetts last year. This month, the watchdog group is suing the state of Florida. They want the state to hand over all documents related to the flight. Governor Ron DeSantis' administration took credit for it last year, but the watchdog group claims that state officials have delayed the release of certain information, violating public records laws. Meanwhile, the U.S. International Boundary and Water Commission says Governor Abbott's plan to release buoys in the Rio Grande caught them by surprise. The agency oversees water treaties between the U.S. and Mexico, and in an interview with NPR, the commission says they're investigating how the proposal may impact international agreements. The buoys were intended to deter migrants. Stay with us.
Weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times powerful, and it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News 1, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm, Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News 1. And get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app.
From coast to coast, you've seen us around. We live and work in the communities we serve. Our commitment runs deep. We're invested here, creating good jobs and supporting small businesses, many of which we're proud to call customers. You count on us to keep you connected to what matters most. And we're committed to delivering you the best internet, TV, and mobile service. We're Spectrum, connecting the places we all call home.
In quarantine and coming out of quarantine, we've been feeling pretty weird. Normal? What even is normal right now? We have the opportunity to define a new normal. I wrote Weirdos to say that there is no normal anymore. Talk to someone and start the conversation.
Spectrum News 1 is Texas strong. It's not just the Friday night lights, the skies you need to see to believe. It's the people, the communities, the character. That's what makes us Texans. From our experienced boots-on-the-ground teams to a new perspective on the news that matters to Dallas-Fort Worth, we bring you the inspiring stories that leave a lasting impact across our communities. It's what makes us proud to call Texas home.
It is feeling like the dog days of summer already. Be like Bonnie, get into the pool. Look at that, an awesome scene. And check out this bunny. This is Lint. He's actually getting his float on so comfortable into the pool and really just setting the scene for us. I think we all need to meet that challenge just to really feel that comfortable and ignore the heat. Just go ahead and get your doggy paddle on. Here is a look. We're actually 4 days out from the official start of summer and excessive heat warnings to our south. For the most part, most of us under that heat advisory, but this lasts all the way throughout your Sunday. So a dangerous situation, heat exhaustion would show more like dizziness and heavy sweating. We would have like a weak pulse, maybe some cramps, especially into your legs. Now, heat stroke, different story. We won't have as much sweating. Throbbing headache is what you need to look for. Some consciousness, a little bit on the verge, and then also turning red. So dangerous. Definitely need to call 911 if that is the case. But we're going to stay safe throughout the weekend. Here is a look outside. We have a few of those clouds. They're not going to help us as we go forward. We're going to see actually more of the sunshine throughout your Sunday and highs into the mid and upper 90s. Heat indices will be as high as 107 downtown. So we'll continue to see a dangerous situation and limiting those chances of rain into your Sunday. You can only see just a little bit well down towards the southeast and only a 10% chance. All right, this ridge, it will back off as we go forward. Actually, a stronger trough to the southeast is going to bully it, kick it just a little bit to the west. So our temperatures will go down. It'll take a while, but by the end of the week, we are looking a little bit better.
Texas is one of several states dealing with a pilot shortage. Many of them retired or left the industry during the pandemic. And as our Nicolette Perdomo shows us, it's a lengthy process to get new hires flight ready.
It takes a lot of hours flying in one of these, a Cessna 152, in order to get that commercial pilot license. One of the cadets I spoke to says she's been training hard in the books, as well as doing simulations and spending a lot of hours inside an airplane. The first step in becoming a commercial pilot is to earn a private pilot certificate issued by the FAA. Then earn an instrument rating to be able to fly in all kinds of weather.
I'm trying to get it done as quick as I can. Try to fly at least 3-4 times a week if weather allows.
It's what Shotzi Samoji is training for right now.
You want to make sure that you know everything, how your instrument working.
Although the sky time is important, plenty of her training happens on this flight simulator device, where she can land and practice flying in bad weather.
Right now, I'm adding some clouds and I'm reducing the visibility.
Jack Parrish is the owner of the Flight Academy. As a former pilot, he says there is a tremendous demand for pilots.
There's a massive pilot shortage. It's an interesting thing, though, because there's a shortage, but also the shortage is not just with entry-level pilots, it's with a lot of the shortages captains being needed at certain airlines.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects about 18,000 job openings for airline and commercial pilots each year through 2031. Parrish says although people are completing training, there are still several issues at play.
It's not necessarily first officers that are the biggest need for a lot of airlines, so it's not something that's going to be solved overnight.
And Shotzi hopes to end up working for a big airline after making it through all the training, which is about 1,500 hours.
I think like aviation, it's a blend of science, art, and adventure, and I just like this combination.
Meanwhile, one business model is seeing an unexpected resurgence. We're talking about shopping malls. They were the place to be when I was growing up. Our Blessing Uwachuku has more on that.
Keela Neighbors is doing something she didn't think would happen so soon at her first storefront.
Happy that I gave it everything we had. We gave it 4 years of just really putting in the work.
Spectrum News first met the entrepreneur at her North San Antonio location in 2021 and then again in 2022. She and her family were celebrating major milestones. The business surviving the pandemic and their bath and beauty items being offered on Target.com. But in 2023,
rent prices have gone up. I think that it's like a compounding kind of effect. So we're dealing with, supply chain shortages. So we're dealing with, lack of traffic because consumer has changed the way that they interact with businesses.
Which has forced Keela and her husband, Kevin, to shut down this location. But as one chapter comes to an end, another is just beginning. The mall of all places.
Pre-pandemic, we were thinking about the Armageddon of the mall. And then with the pandemic, we thought that was the final dagger that was there. But there is a heartbeat there.
And it's pumping more people in through these doors.
According to data, U.S. mall visits increased in January 2023 across mostly indoor malls.
Patrick Soleimani is an associate professor and dean at the School of Business at George Mason University. He credits the comeback of the mall to the very thing expected to kill the industry, the pandemic.
We spent a lot of time in our homes, not interacting with folks that did not live with us.
Retail Wire reported mall traffic recovered the past 2 years. The site referenced the success of the Simon Property Group, the largest mall owner in the U.S. The group reached near pre-pandemic occupancy rates of nearly 95%. The location inside North Star Mall was originally the couple's second storefront.
And we saw a level of success that we hadn't seen, at any other location.
And since it officially opened November 2022, Keela says it has accomplished in a matter of months what the first location could never do in 4 years.
Okay.
Highlighting your Sunday, it's going to be hot. Very, very hot as hundreds spread throughout the state, and actually more sunshine as we go forward. Feels like temperatures over the next few days could be record-breaking, so make sure you're taking those heat precautions. And limited as far as the rain is concerned. I'll give you your complete outlook coming up.
The strength of Texas is in its many voices and unique perspectives. Every Sunday, join host Carla Leal on In Focus Texas. Education, economy, immigration, and more. Balanced and respectful discussion of the serious matters impacting Texas from experts across the state.
We take a closer look at the issues in your community.
In Focus Texas, Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Spectrum News 1, available on all your favorite devices.
Millions of small business owners, like Leanna Lynn, choose Spectrum Business.
Spectrum Business services are essential to our business.
Choose Spectrum Business for your business. Get fast, reliable internet starting at $49.99 a month. And the Spectrum Business Connect phone system with video conferencing for $19.99 a month to get a free mobile line for 1 year. No nonsense. Just business.
I cannot live without it.
Visit spectrum.com/business or call 866-524-1116 today.
What if you had to choose between fixing the roof over your head and putting food on the table? What if that leak led to mold growing in your home? What if you no longer had a safe place to call home? Help Rebuilding Together make repairs for our neighbors who have lost jobs and have to make those difficult choices. Text REBUILD to 484848.
We are connected, engaged, from the moment we rise. We move. We adjust. We learn, explore, relax, and grow together so we're ready to build a better tomorrow. Stay informed throughout your day with the Spectrum News app, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
Well, it's summertime in Texas. That means people are hitting the road for vacation or just checking out the scenery. And what better way to do that than on the back of a motorcycle? One museum lets you check out all kinds of bikes and take your own trip at the same time to the past. Welcome to the sights and sounds of a trip back in time. Just off Main Street in Johnson City sits the Texas Vintage Motorcycle Museum. It's the place to be for bikes, whether you're a biker chick or not.
We have a 6-cylinder Honda CBX, an absolutely beautiful CB750 from 1974. This was the king of the hill when it was first introduced by Honda.
Owner Gordon Massey has been riding, restoring, and collecting these vintage rides for years.
I lusted after them when I was a kid, but I was only making $1.25 an hour pumping gas. So these were the bikes that were always beyond my reach.
Now his collection fills several rooms. 83 are his, 14 additional bikes are on loan. They come at every make and model, every shape and size.
We have a beautiful 1974 Ducati GT750, which was this is the first model that Ducati introduced with twin cylinders. It takes you back to your childhood, takes you back to simpler times. It's always been my source of peace and joy.
But like most ventures in life, whether on two wheels or not, there are always a few bumps in the road. Back in the early 2000s, Gordon was fired from his corporate job for being a whistleblower. He sued, and as the saying goes, the rest is history.
We reached an out-of-court settlement, and that was a large enough settlement that I could afford to take the rest of my life off and buy all these motorcycles and the building.
His favorite is the jewel of the collection and the most valuable, this British baby from the 1950s, simply known as number 22.
This was raced in 1955 and 1956, so it's a very rare, unique piece in absolutely perfect condition.
You could say Gordon's motorcycles also helped him heal when life got especially tough.
I lost my wife of 43 years. And then I lost my son, who was only 31. You know, the best way to deal with grief is to get back into your passion, back into your life, back into what gets you excited.
For Gordon, it means being a kid again, surrounded by all these bikes and bringing a little joy to others when life on the outside doesn't always run smoothly. Well, summertime also means some fun in the sun and in the water. So now's a great time to talk about keeping your kids safe at the pool. Here with us today is Emily Welch from Goldfish Swim School to tell us all about water safety and more. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So to start with some key water safety tips that parents need to keep in mind. You know, we've got who've got all the safety equipment. What do they need to keep in mind?
So a lot of things they need to keep in mind is going to be having a life jacket like you have in your hands right there. That is a key water safety component. Austin actually provides them, if anybody didn't know that, down at the lakes, which is great. Other things they need to know is like heat, right? Heat prevention, bringing water, making sure your kids are prepared and safe and ready, sunscreen. You wouldn't even think about that. And on the other side, you have to remember your kids, can they float on their back? Can they hold their breath? Can they grab all those things that they need when you're out at the lake or on a boat or even at your local pool, even with lifeguards on duty?
Right. Always got to be prepared. And also, there was a recent survey, I think nearly 60% of families plan to vacation near the water sometime this summer. Only a third, though, feel confident that their kids have some swimming abilities. So how do we change that to make sure we're confident in that?
Yeah, you want to take your kids to go take swim lessons or to just your local pool. You want to teach them how to float on their back. You want to teach them how to grab that bubble, which is taking a breath. All those small safety tips, even in the bathtub at home, in the shower at home, simple things like that really help bring that confidence level up in those little kids.
Right. And you guys are having I think, is it the world's largest swim lesson coming up?
It is.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So the world's largest swim lesson, everyone around the world who has a swimming pool or runs a swim school, all those things, they all get together and we offer free lessons to everyone in the community to come out and just hang out with us. We're also doing a free family swim, so the entire family can come hang out at our pool and just kind of hang out. It's just a way to catch awareness for drowning prevention and swim safety for kids.
And another quick question too, is it ever too early to teach a child how to swim?
It is never too early to start. Yeah.
What's the earliest you can start with their infants, I guess?
Yeah, so we start at 4 months old.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Success rates, pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, 88% and more for drowning prevention when they take swim lessons.
All right, some life-saving lessons. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Spectrum News 1. I'm Todd Boatwright. We will see you again soon. Stay safe.
We have one mission, and that is to serve our community.
And that's what we're doing here in Dallas-Fort Worth is we're covering people's stories. We're telling a person's story in a way that's relatable to who they are.
It's my responsibility to know the issues here in Texas, but also, more importantly, to know who it affects.
We want to make sure that you know what's going on in politics and weather and entertainment. You're going to get storytelling about the Dallas-Fort Worth community. Your evening on Spectrum News 1. Weeknights starting at 5 p.m. Central.
They say the best things in life are free.
That's why Spectrum Mobile is giving you one free mobile line when you buy one unlimited line for $29.99.
Hey, so I can get 2 lines for the price of one? That's right, for just $29.99.
Switch to Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for $29.99 a month and get a second unlimited line free for 12 months with no contracts. Call 1-844-537-2999. Visit spectrum.com/get connected or a Spectrum store today.
It's the best deal in mobile.
Free mobile sounds good, but is the service reliable?
Absolutely. Spectrum Mobile is super reliable, coast to coast.
Okay, but what's the catch? Is it contracts?
No contracts, no catch.
Get one line for $29.99 and the second line is free.
All with no taxes or hidden fees.
Whew. Man, I'm switching to Spectrum. You said?
Switch to Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for $29.99 a month and get a second unlimited line free for 12 months. Call 1-844-537-2999.
Get the best deal in mobile. Switch to Spectrum.
Please welcome tonight's presentation.
When I grow up.
I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck.
I don't want to borrow a lot for an education.
And then not know what to do with it.
When I grow up, I don't want to be paid less.
I want to know